The second you're arrested for domestic violence, the system starts treating you like you're already guilty. You're hit with a no contact order, maybe kicked out of your home, and suddenly it feels like you're fighting blind. I'm Nana Knight, a criminal defense attorney here in California, and I've helped clients beat charges just like this by doing the right things early in the case. And this video breaks down the first critical steps to take if you want any real shot at winning, because if you wait too long or say the wrong thing, the damage could be permanent. Most people think that domestic violence cases are black and white. They're not. In California, domestic violence is a wide category. It could be serious injuries, of course, but it could also be something minor, something small when you say it out loud, or like grabbing an arm, blocking a doorway, or throwing something in the other person's direction in anger, even if that object doesn't end up touching the other person. A loud argument where someone says they felt threatened. And here's the part that surprises people. Once police show up to a domestic violence call, they're under pressure to treat it like a real crime scene. They're not showing up to be a couples counselor. They're not showing up to de-escalate the situation. They're trying to decide if a crime happened. So even if the situation feels messy, mutual, or confusing, it's common for someone to get arrested. Now let's talk about the biggest myth. Many people think if the other person doesn't want charges, this goes away. That's not how this usually works. In many cases, the prosecutor decides whether the case continues, not the person who made the 911 call or made the complaint to law enforcement. So if you're sitting there thinking we're fine now, everything's okay, so the court will be fine too, that's the trap. And once you see the trap, the next step is obvious. Stop feeding the case. Stop talking even when you really want to. This is the hardest part for most people, especially good people who have never been in trouble before. They want to explain. They want to be heard and understood. They want to be seen as reasonable. Police know that. So an officer might sound calm and say, "Help me understand what happened. Give me your side of the story." But they're collecting statements, and those statements are evidence that could be used against you. Those statements end up in a report. That report becomes the backbone of the case against you. And here's what happens all the time. Someone says, "I only grabbed her arm to calm her down." They think that makes them look responsible. What it can do is lock in an admission that the actual physical contact occurred. Or someone says, "I didn't hit her, I just pushed her away." Now you just gave the police the word pushed in writing or on a recorded video. And it's not only the police. The other trap is your phone. People text, they apologize, they try to smooth things over, they try to get the other person to tell the truth, they try to get them to admit something. That stuff becomes evidence, even if you meant well, even if you were just trying to keep the family together. So here's the clean rule. Do not discuss the facts of the case with anyone except your lawyer. Not friends, not family, not coworkers, not on social media, not the other person involved. And if there is a protective order, follow it exactly. No, just one message. No, they reached out to me, I didn't reach out to them. No, it's about the kids. If you violate that protective order or the temporary emergency protective order, you can hand the prosecution a brand new charge without them lifting a finger. Now, once you stop digging the hole deeper, you can finally do something that helps you. You build your defense early, not later, not when the court comes around, early. So start building before evidence disappears. Many people think that court is where they finally get to tell their story. Most of the time, the story gets decided long before trial is even on the table. The prosecution starts with the police report, photos, body camera footage, 911 calls, witness statements, and messages. So what does a smart defense do? It moves fast and locks down what disappears fast. Surveillance videos get overwritten. Ring camera auto-delete. Businesses erase footage. Neighbors forget what they heard. People change their tone once they've talked to friends and family. So if you want a real chance, you or your attorney needs to start gathering who was there, who heard what, where people were standing, what the timeline was, whether there were any cameras, whether messages show context before and after. And yes, there are defenses that commonly matter in domestic violence cases, not magic tricks, just real categories that decide outcomes. Self-defense or defense of someone else where the force was reasonable, false or exaggerated accusations sometimes tied to breakups, jealousy, custody, or control. Weak evidence where the story doesn't match the facts. Mutual conflict, mutual combat where the event is being framed one-sided. And here's the point. You do not win these cases with a speech. You win by creating doubt in the evidence and creating risk for the prosecutor, which leads to the next move. And when I say risk for the prosecutor, what I mean is the risk of not being able to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, which leads to the next move. You challenge what they're using against you, not with emotion, with precision. Attack the evidence like it's a puzzle. Domestic violence cases are emotional. Court is supposed to be about proof. The prosecutor has to prove the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. The standard matters. So instead of arguing this is unfair, you focus on this does not hold up. A few places where cases often crack. Police reports can be incomplete or slanted. Officers write them fast, and they do not always capture the full context. Witnesses can be shaky. People fill in gaps. People repeat what they heard, which is hearsay, or people remember things differently when they're under stress. Photos and medical notes do not always prove what caused an injury or when it happened. Recordings and texts are famous for missing context. A 10-second clip can make anyone look guilty. A screenshot can hide what came before it. And the process matters too. How statements were taken, how evidence was collected, whether things were done properly. This is why a good defense attorney matters. Not just someone who will show up, someone who knows how to challenge the evidence in the way the court actually responds to. Now, the last part is the one people underestimate. Even if you avoid jail, a domestic violence conviction can still wreck your life. So you need to treat this like a long game. Protect your future. A domestic violence conviction is not just a court problem. It can affect work, housing, custody, professional licensing. If you're not a US citizen, the immigration consequences could be serious. So the goal is not simply survive the next court date. The goal is to protect your record and your options for the next few years. In most cases, you're fighting toward one of these outcomes: a dismissal, a reduction to a non-domestic violence charge that's not going to affect your immigration status, or a resolution that avoids the most damaging long-term consequences, whatever the priorities are for you. And you increase your odds by doing the boring stuff that actually works. Stop talking, follow orders, gather facts fast. Let your lawyer build the pressure where it belongs. So quick recap, because this is the playbook. The playbook to beat or reduce a domestic violence case in California. Take it seriously from day one. Even if it feels like a misunderstanding, do not talk about the facts with the police or anyone but your lawyer. Do not text, message, or explain to the other person. Build early because evidence disappears fast. Challenge the evidence, not the feelings. Protect your future, and not just your next court date. And one more time, if there is a protective order, follow it exactly. Now, if you found this helpful, watch my next video, The Hidden Rules of Gun Possession Law in California, because a domestic violence case or a restraining order can create a firearm issue for people who do not see this coming. And one mistake can turn into a new charge. Click that video now, and I'll see you over there.